Hey there, welcome back. So we're out here at Watkins Mill Farm again with my friend Jason, and what's been about 3-4 weeks ago, I dropped off the tree saw, the Baumalight DPH532 tree saw, so that Jason could put it to the test while I was waiting for my Solace S75 to come back. So we've had a couple projects that Jason's going to take us through here. We are running it on his Kioti CK2610, which we've used a few other attachments out here and featured as well. And your son-in-law runs the Bobcat version of this, right?
Identical in size and horsepower, yes.
So only difference is it's white and black, and they operated this tree saw on that as well. We have a Category 1 Pat's quick hitch, right?
Yes.
So the cool thing on the DPH532 is that it is set up to where you can run Category 2 or 1. That was one of the big differences. So this is a prototype, soon to be released by Baumalight. And tell us a little bit about the project that you've got going on here, and then we'll talk about the one you were working on previously.
Sure. So the project we have here is on this piece of property. It was pretty much overgrown. There was a path through to be able to get down to the lower part of our property, but all of this and what you see behind us is just brown. It's all covered in all kinds of vines and huckleberry and just small trees. So it wasn't usable for us. And what we're doing is we're moving the path over towards our horse pasture so that we can give more grazing land to the sheep, which you'll hear in the background as we talk here.
Yep. So a lot of what you've done here, how much of it have you done with the tree saw? I know you've had a couple different approaches you've used so far.
Most of what you see behind us is all tree saw.
Okay.
We went in there, started taking the small stuff out. We had the Baumalight on the Bobcat tractor, so we could have two tractors going. So I was running the tree saw, and then my son-in-law was running my tractor with the grapple on the front. So he was cleaning up as I was dropping.
Nice.
And we made a big dent in the side of the property.
So that's still the thing that I'm missing, and Solace is about to send me a grapple, but I think that's like the perfect combination for this tool. Cut it down, move it out.
Yes. And if you have two tractors available, it makes it even better.
So that's what Jason and I plan on doing on the back 80 is one of us cutting and one of us moving, and we'll get that going. So first impressions, what are your thoughts on this, and would you consider buying one based on your use so far?
This isn't now being discussed in the household about the next purchase, but yes, when you and I first talked about it and you said, oh, I have this prototype tree saw from Baumalight, and we're on the phone and I pull it up on the website, like, oh, okay, this is great. And then you said, well, you want to try it out? Absolutely, I want to try this out. So bringing this home here, it's just a game changer, because normally we would have gone after this with chainsaws. And you're bending over and you're stopping and you're moving things, and it's just a very slow, painful process. With this, you just back up on what you want to take out, up to a certain size and height, of course. But what you see here is probably a good day's worth of work, which would have been a week's worth of work to get to this point.
Nice. So Jason mentioned up to a certain height. So the safety suggestion, I'll say, or the warning label says 10-foot high trees. So I know, like, the trees I've been cutting are more bushes, so they're not as top heavy. You mentioned that you had some that you cut a little bit higher, that you kind of topped them a little bit.
They were probably 7 feet, enough that you could comfortably get a chainsaw up and you're not swinging it too high in the air, but enough to get it down. And then the push bar would take care of the rest of this.
Nice. So I do have other videos that talk about this piece of equipment in more detail, but we've got about, I think it's a 30-inch wheel on the back. I can't remember if it's 12 or 16 teeth on there. But it's basically like a stump grinder turned on its side, and it's like a buzzsaw.
It would just go.
Yeah.
And you'd hit a tree, and it was the most enjoyable sound to hear, and it would just zip it off and drop it. And then you may come back, and what was nice to have the topping lift is probably on a bigger thing, you would take the first cut, and you might get it down to where it's a couple inches off the ground, and then you could come back and do a finer cut by just adjusting the topping lift to get it to angle just a little further back, and then get it at ground level. I expect we'll probably come through with the stump grinder just to pick up a couple, but a lot of it, we're fine.
Yeah,
we're going to be in good shape. Now, the other project we did with this was down at our church. We border a farm, and it just had all kinds of shrubby trees and just overgrown stuff. So we took a Saturday and 2 chainsaws, and this in 4 hours we had that whole property line clear. Nice. And you couldn't see through parts of it to the farm next door. Now you pull in and there's a couple of big trees, nice healthy trees, and the rest of it's gone.
Nice, nice.
All right, well, today I'm out here with Josh's Baumalight tree saw that he was kind enough to let me borrow. We're going to do the tree line along the property of our church just to get things cleaned up here, and this will be the first time running this tree saw on this Kioti 2610. So I'll report back as to how it goes, but looking forward to how it will help us clean up the property.
We're going to be loading it up here before long, but let's go out and cut a few trees, show some example of it in action on the Kioti, and then we'll do some closing remarks after that. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, man. Let's go.
All right.
I think that was about 10 minutes,
Maybe.
maybe 10 minutes
10
of work, and cleared a ton of stuff.
We did.
Looking pretty good. Tell me what you found. There's a couple times we had to stop there.
Yeah, so a couple times on the taller, skinnier trees, they sometimes got sucked into the wheel, and you could hear it start to bind up. So you just had to stop, turn it off, pull it out, and then continue on.
Yeah, got it. So a little different scenario than where a lot of the autumn olive I'm doing. There's individual, one here, one there, so I can back in, cut it, drop it, back out, go to the next one. Where with this amount of brush,
This is just
your brush clearing. So you got brambles and grass, everything is clean. And then that last pass, what'd you do different there?
So that last pass, just so I could get the stump absolutely at ground level, I just gave the top lift a little pop,
Okay.
just to tilt the back of the tree saw so that it was cutting at the ground level, and then just cleared that right out.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. Now, one thing I'll tell you, we were talking about this, was knowing the area. So before we started on this whole project, my son-in-law and I, we walked all the area that we were going to cut, and I knew where there was some hazards, and we found some others that we didn't know about. We found old wire fence and a whole lot of T-posts between this upper section here.
Okay.
So we had to stop, get that all cleared out. In the case of, we had one tree that had a T-post right in the middle of it, so we had to deal with that by hand first before we cut. And then this area down here, I can't go back too much further because there's a pile of logs and there's a pile of concrete. So we're going to have to get in there with the grapple, pull all that stuff out, and then we'll be able to go back in and continue clearing.
Nice, nice. So yeah, I was mentioning to Jason as well, just he was talking about looking for hazards, and he said they've already kind of scouted the treetops. As you're pushing trees down, you just want to make sure there's nothing that's going to drop out and land on you. Things that you don't always think about. I know when I'm using the chainsaw and stuff, I'm looking for
right. And we have a lot of vines up in these trees, so that tends to get in your way and snag. So you just need to stop. So usually I'll have my small chainsaw right here in a little holster. I can stop, get off, trim some things out of the way, and then continue on.
Nice, nice. So there were a couple stumps. I think you're going to take another pass and clean some
just
of
to
these
get
out.
them at ground
get
level.
them at ground. So as you noticed, Jason's moving pretty fast on cleaning and clearing this out. Like I said, less than 10 minutes, I think, of what we just shot here. What I found with my initial use, I was going slower, so I was getting like a flush, clean cut. But if I went faster, I was mowing everything down, right? So I think.
Well, and here I kept it in low because there's just so much stuff that's tangled up in this mess that if I went too fast, I'd probably jam up the wheel. We'd stop, pull it off, and then go back to it. So just running it in low allows it to clear out whatever I'm cutting down.
Yep.
And I think I stopped twice through here just to clear out some things that didn't move out of the way.
Yeah. Impressive. I'm impressed with it. I can't wait to get it back in.
It's a great attachment.
Yeah.
We have been looking at clearing this area for 30 years. We hadn't owned the property until recently, so we really didn't have the opportunity to do it. But now that we own the property and have a piece of equipment that can do it, we can reclaim this and make it useful for pasture for the horses, for the sheep, and whatever other creatures show up.
Yeah. What do you got, about 5 acres back here you're clearing?
We're probably from the top of the hill down, both sides, maybe 4 acres. That's probably what we'll end up with once we're all done.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to let you get back to work. I'll take a little more footage and we'll wrap things up after that. But 2 thumbs up on the Baumalight.
Fantastic attachment.
All right.
Well worth it.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Stick around. We're going to go back in action here.